Hello, welcome back to the Trekway. It has been a moment. Apologies. I am Trev, and that's Gray, as always. We are back for Star Trek Prodigy. Um, we Gray and I went back several times on how we're going to tackle this because
Yep.
Netflix were a bit rude, Gray, and they released the whole season in one go, which a lot of people love, but it's kind of mucked our plans up a little bit.
I was surprised because I thought that the most they would do like 10 and then wait like, I don't know, a month or two and then do another 10. But man, dropped all 20, boom.
Yeah, it's good for the people that want to cram them all in and binge, but I mean they are smaller episodes, so excuse me, I get
Right.
it, and Netflix kind of do that. So um, I think the best thing to do is we're going to have some reviews. So today we're going to do episode 1 and 2 together because they're a two-parter, and then usually try and fit in a few episodes at a time in each review. However, there are a few 2 and 3 parters throughout this season, Gray. So what I
Mm.
said to him was, we'll just tackle them as they come along, like in their 3 parters or 2 parters, and we should be done in about 4 weeks or so, 4 or 5 weeks. We'll see. Yeah. So today, Star Trek Prodigy season 2, episode 1 and 2, Into the Breach. I was looking forward to this. We've been starved of Star Trek for a little bit now, Gray, and we don't think we're going to get Lower Decks until it might not even be the
More
autumn.
towards the fall.
It might
They
be
haven't set a date, but
might
more
be
towards the fall.
might be winter. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
Um,
yeah, could be.
and then we don't have Strange New Worlds until next year, so probably again. And
Yeah,
then we've
and my
obviously
guess
got the
is
movie, Section
the movie they
31.
haven't even announced a date on it yet either. So I'm hoping the movie will be, if we're lucky, maybe the movie will be towards the end of this year too.
They're
I
still
don't
they're,
think so,
they're
but
probably still
maybe.
working on it. They're probably still doing the post on it. So
Yeah.
I guess once they get close to finishing that, they'll give us a date. But yes, at least we'll get some Prodigy to go over for the next few weeks. I know a lot of people have probably watched it already. To do one season long review would have been probably something like a 2 hour episode, and it would have been it just wasn't ideal. So before we kick off, really quickly, if you want to come along and chat about Star Trek or gaming or Gray's podcast, which we'll touch in a moment, entertainment wise, please come along to our Discord and come in and say hello from there. It's just basically discord.gg/extreme gaming podcast, all one word at the end there. Or Google search for it as well, and come in and say you came to us for the podcast. We're here most weeks with something Star Trek related. We do a weekly gaming podcast as well on Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. GMT. And also we have Gray's podcast, which is entertainment based. And there is a decent bit of like sci-fi and fantasy and stuff in there as well, because that's what we like. Anything that's hot and up and coming and in Hollywood or the streaming wars, we'll talk about it on Gray's show. And we'll probably be back some point this month for another episode of that. But yeah, so speaking of kicking off, we actually kick off with probably one. I mean, I love all the kids in the show, great, but we kick off with Murph and his cute reaction to hearing Admiral Janeway on the pad. Who's your favourite character on that show, or do you love them all?
Um. That's a good question. I
I
haven't
know.
really thought about it. I would probably lean towards Gwen,
Huh.
I guess,
Interesting.
but I'm only favoring her slightly over a lot of the other ones.
Right.
So it may have something to do with Ella Purnell's acting ability. I don't know. I just or the way it's written, or both. But I kind of lean a little more towards her, I guess. But
Okay.
but they're all good. They're all good.
No answer is the wrong answer there, really.
Yeah.
I love all the kids, really, but Martha's adorable because no one can understand anything he says, and it just looks adorable. And that'll be key to one of the future episodes, actually, not understanding them very well. Um,
Yeah.
all the kids are getting a video message through on their pads about Admiral Janeway and basically getting them ready for the next mission and recruiting them. And it's consider this your study abroad mission. She basically tells them to get ready for their mission. They're going to their new ship, which we got hints of all the way through the season trailer. And I was kind of hoping it would be the next Protostar, but the fact it ends up being obviously the Voyager A, I'm even more happy. What's your thoughts on that, Gray? You want to stick to the Protostar type ship, or are you just happy that it's a unofficial Voyager sequel?
I like the Voyager A. Well, first of all, everybody loves the Voyager, so it's always nice to see the Voyager A. But I think because Janeway is actually taking part as opposed to being the hologram, then it looks more appropriate for her to be in the Voyager as opposed to the Protostar. So it just kind of makes that warm and fuzzy connection kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it made a lot of sense to go with it. You know, obviously we don't. By the way, if fans out there want to know, we have not watched all 20 episodes in one shot.
We're
doing this on purpose, or just watching the certain amount that we were going to do these reviews on.
Yeah.
Believe me, I was tempted to click the next button, next episode.
That's what Netflix want you to do. Resist.
That's right. So if we talk kind of funny, and you think don't they know it? They saw all the episodes. No, we haven't on purpose.
That's a good sign, though.
So in watching the episode, you start thinking maybe the Protostar 2 or whatever they're calling it, or A or B, I guess, is going to come around eventually, I guess, the way they seem to be talking. But for right now, I think the A is great.
Was the first Protostar not an NX because it's experimental? I don't remember if it had an NX in front of it or not.
I don't remember. It might have been. I don't remember.
Someone comment below if that was the case. See, Jamie is there and she isn't there. I mean, I'm being pernickety, but she's only voice acting it, so whether she's a hologram or actually in the ship, she's still a cartoon drawing at the end of the day. As brutal as that sounds.
Right, but it doesn't matter. She's still the character. I mean, it's still her.
And she's
it's gonna go into canon, so she's
on the ship full time now, pretty much. That's her thing. I looked this up.
That little streak of gray hair going like this, you know.
That's good. That's cute. That's good. Yeah, she'll catch up with you in no time, Gray.
Sure.
She's. Of course, I'm glad to see her back. But yeah, they think the kids, as they're going up to they're going into space, they're going to what they think is their ship, and they're asking questions: is it the Protostar? And it's actually the Doctor, the holographic Doctor from Voyager, Robert Picardo, is back, and he's actually taking him. He's very charismatic, that guy. You know, I do like Bob plays him really, really well. I've always loved. Yeah. He is. I mean, I'm not getting into the whole situation of who's your favourite Doctor of all time. Like, Bones is obviously right up there, but someone that I genuinely loved was Bob Picardo's taking him, because he took things from different Doctors, took a little bit from Bones, and he went and expanded on it and done his own thing, and he plays a very, very good character. And he is their chaperone. He's more of a babysitter than a Doctor so far, I would say, Gray. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, technically, everybody that's older than them are babysitters.
Well, yeah, I think they feel it as well, to be fair. No, he takes him up, and he's like, no, the Protostar 2 or whatever he said. And they're still working on that. But no, we've got something else a little bit more fitting. And then you get a little bit of the Voyager kind of music. But as happened in season 1 of Prodigy, if you remember, Gray, you never really got the proper music. And at one point, I think you say somewhere in your notes it might be a licensing, but I don't think it is. I think it's more, when they own the license, I think it's more, it's not Voyager, so they're purposely just giving you hints of the music, which I think is the right thing to do. But goddamn, I just want to hear a bit of Voyager. Yeah, you got a bit of Voyager music in Picard season 3. A little bit when 7 and 9 was looking at Voyager OG.
Yeah, and they played the real music, even if it was only for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So I just can't see. I mean, I understand this identity thing. Like, well, it's Prodigy, it's not Voyager, but I don't think anybody's gonna be that confused.
No,
You know,
you get the idea, don't you?
yeah, but I would rather have it than not have it. But it would have been nice if they actually used the real, not note for note, more or less.
Of course.
But it's okay.
What's the line, Gray, that the Doctor comes away with not long into the episode, which was absolutely hilarious? Do you recall?
With the butler?
Yeah.
I'm a doctor, not a butler.
I think
He threw about I don't know,
a
in
few
that
of them.
episode of 1 or 2 lines. He's always gonna throw a line in here, a line in there. We know that. And that's actually what's cool about him that doctor is that obviously he got that from McCoy, because McCoy used to say that all the time. And when he first did that, when I started watching Voyager long ago, I was kind of like taken aback a little bit. I was going like, yeah, why are you stealing that line? That's Bones. But somehow Picardo made it work.
Yeah.
Where he was different enough that he could get away with it. And it was kind of a lineage kind of thing too, which was cool. So it was like a connection back. So it worked for him. I don't think it would have worked for everybody, but it did work for Picardo. So that everybody excuses that, and there's no problem.
Yeah, I have no qualms about that. It makes it work really, really well. And for those that are wondering, Gray's doing a stellar job. He's had technical issues, and he's had to go down to the peasant laptop, so he's done well technically to get himself up and running. You barely notice apart from a bit of flickering.
Yeah, I'm amazed I even got done when I got done. But
hey, you're here and it's decent. You sound fine. So yeah, no, the doctor, I'm a doctor, not a butler comment is basically when he's getting asked to like help move bags and stuff like that. He's spot on.
I think it was Jankum that threw the bag in front of him.
Yeah, it was before they take off. Yeah, that's it. By the way, I'll just say so far, my favourite character up until the episodes we've done so far, up to episode 5, is Jankum. He is cracking me up, man, even more than the first season, because he's trying to be nice all the time, but you can still tell he's infuriated with everyone and everything. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, I like his not metamorphosis, but the character's coming along, and he actually is making an effort to be nicer.
He's struggling.
Right, but that's cool. That's good. It shows that there's something there. He still talks in the third person all the time, but that's okay.
Oh, that's fine. That's Jankum for you.
Yeah, I'm used to that by now.
So Jankum's back to form. The Doc's back to form. The kids have basically got a mission to investigate that wormhole that we saw at the end of season 1 that the Protostar actually created. And as Dal says himself, very timey-wimey. Which is, for those that don't know, a nod to Doctor Who. They coined that phrase, I'm pretty sure. And by the time we get to the end of these reviews, especially only a few episodes in, it's a loop situation, Gray. You know what I'm talking about here, why that wormhole was created and what's about to happen. So it's kind of... It gives you a sore head. It really, I can see why Janeway...
Because that exists, even though that didn't exist before the other exists. Huh?
That's it, yeah. Timey-wimey sums it up perfectly, to be honest with you. So, as I said before, the Protostar Mark II is still under construction. So we've got the Voyager A. Now, we've seen teases of this before already, Gray. But with little hints of the Voyager music in the background... This thing looks bloody brilliant. This thing looks like the perfect evolution of the original Voyager. It really does. It's got the same basic kind of shape and kind of silhouette of it, but it's a bit bigger. It takes cues from the Intrepid original class and the Sovereign class. It looks like a blend of the two, I would say. And I saw pictures of them side by side, like diagrams. And you've obviously got the Sovereign, the Enterprise E, which is the biggest. But then after that, you've got the Voyager A, and then the original Voyager, and so on. So everything's just been souped up in this ship. It's a Lamar special class science vessel, even. God, I sound like Chekhov there.
Now I know the class, so there you go.
The Lamar class... I've never heard of a Lamar class before, but it sounds brilliant. I don't care. And it's a science vessel. Of course, it's a science vessel. It has to be a science vessel. Do you like the Voyager A? Do you like it more than the original, Gray?
I don't know. I kind of don't look at it that way. I like it just as much. I mean, it like you said, it's a natural evolution. I mean, if it was really off, and you and I thought it was awful looking, we would say so. But I think it pretty much is like a natural evolution. It still looks like the Voyager, but a little more
beefed
modernish or 24th century-ish, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I want to see how much more of the action we're going to see out of it, maybe.
I think you do see a little bit, to be honest with you. It will do some things, which I don't want it to be like the Daedalus class, whatever that ship they had in season 1 with Jamie was
the Dauntless?
The Dauntless. That's it. I'm getting my Stargate and my Star Trek mixed up. That ship was horrible looking, but it barely actually had any action, which sucked a little bit.
You think about it, kind of looked like a toad. You know, the toad is the bigger front end and the skinnier back end.
It goes to show why they had inspiration from the Dauntless from the Trekway mugs, available sometime soon when I can be bothered putting them up in the shop. They had inspiration from that ship from the Voyager episode where they got the wool pulled over their eyes by that alien species. I mean, that's a pretty morbid way to get inspiration for a new ship. I'm just saying. But whatever, that was Blana Torres' baby, I believe. So was the slipstream drive, which we get to in a moment, which is very cool. A little side note, which I found interesting, Gray, was now normal. I looked into this. Janeway is a vice admiral, right? Now, looking generally online at militaries, vice admiral is the first level of admiralship, right? Which I didn't know. You've got Vice Admiral, then Admiral, and then you can be like a 2, 3, 4-star Admiral, as well as a General as well. There's many levels within it. So she's just at the first one. When she speaks to, spoiler alert, Admiral Jellicoe later on, he's a level up from Janeway. So you can tell by the way they talk to each other, in fact, that one's Vice Admiral, one's Admiral. So the reason
I think if I remember right, the pips on Janeway, she had 3 pips, which is probably for Vice Admiral, and then the Admiral she was talking to in that shot had 4.
Yeah. Ah, right. Okay. That would be it. Yeah. See, I never pay attention to the pips. It's kind of annoying. I should pay attention to the pips, but I never do. So yeah, normally you're thinking, why is an admiral on a ship leading a ship? It doesn't happen often. I guess if you're an admiral, you can pull rank enough to get a ship at least for a while or a mission. I mean, you're in that position. But no, the reason she can is because their captains are a bit of a premium at the moment. This is about the same time as the mission to evacuate the Romulans from the supernova that's about to kick off, and that which gives us the bloody Kelvin universe. Thank you very much for that, Kurtzman. Anyway, so she's able to grab this ship. In fact, it is Voyager. It's her baby, kind of. There's not as much comeback on her for actually taking the ship, so she's able to jump on there, and she's the right person to lead that ship, to be honest. So let's not beat around the bush.
I was kind of hoping when they got on the Voyager A, though, that they would have, besides Robert Picardo, that they would have maybe a guest star cameo by somebody else from the cast, maybe.
Well, they had Bob Picardo. Oh, come on, man.
I know, but it was the kind of like the first outing, sort of. So it would have been kind of interesting.
True.
But that's okay.
Was it the first outing, though?
But it's fine.
Was it the first outing of the ship, though?
Probably. Maybe not technically, but with her.
It's first proper mission anyway, after space trials. Are space trials a thing?
Yeah.
Sea trials are a thing. I wonder if space trials are a thing.
Yeah, no. That's when the engineers take the ship out.
That's true, and they have a good time. So
let's try this.
There was a little funny comment from Janeway as she says, I was speaking to Admiral Picard, and I promised him that I wouldn't lose this one in the Delta Quadrant. which is the nice little
Right.
touch. I like it.
Yeah.
I would kill to see Janeway and Picard on screen at the same time. I know it kind of happened in First Contact, but that was a video message and it was very brief.
Yeah.
And he did refer to her as Admiral Janeway, or Admiral, even though she's probably a Vice Admiral then. Anyway. But yeah, nice little funny touch. We get a brief tour of the ship, Gray. Now,
Yep.
what the hell is going on with that slipstream drive? It looks like a bloody blue chandelier. What is that? What the hell? It looks nothing like the OG one that Blana Torres made. Now, granted, that was a prototype, and it was the original warp core, but they bolted on parts to it, and it used those benzonite crystals or whatever they're called. What? I know it's a bugbear, I know it's a kid show, but that just... Does it not look like a chandelier?
I mean, yeah, I was kind of expecting a little more out of it. It kind of more looked like one of those blue candy straws or something. You know,
You're right.
So yeah, it wasn't terrible, but it was kind of like, it wasn't really all that overwhelming.
I mean, we'll let it slide
whatever.
because it's an animated show, but
No,
you know,
I don't go along with that, and I'll tell you why. Because look at
Why?
the animation when it comes to the ships
oh,
on
it's
the
stunning.
outside.
Oh, wow.
They look
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
So yeah, they can do it.
it gives the live action a run for its money, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, they do refer to this slipstream drive. This is the important thing to note here, and why you probably will see warp most of the time. And it's a nice way around it. See, I don't... Warp drive is going to be the main method of propulsion always, because that is Star Trek. But, you know, you've got to remember that there's other forms of propulsion out there that it has to be acknowledged the right way. And this show does it the right way because it calls it the burst slipstream drive. And there's a clue in the title. It's to give you a little burst to get you from A to B or a chunk off your journey. The drive can't run as long as a warp drive can, basically, which it has as well. So a nice little boost, and then you turn it off and let it cool down for a while. And that's, I think, the case of slipstream drives on these starships for quite a while, Gray. I think that's why warp drive will still be our main thing. 16 holodecks, so Bob Picardo's get more playroom now, more playgrounds, as you say, Gray.
He's all over the
Kinda.
place anyway. They had to explain earlier, like the kids were asking, like, well, how do you come down to the planet to see us? And he says he has a portable or whatever, a hollow emitter on his arm.
Yeah, the one he had from back in the day.
Supposedly that gets him what he needs or whatever.
I'm assuming they've
So,
reverse engineered that by now. They must have. You think so? They must.
Yeah.
He got the device from that 2-part episode where they went back in time in Voyager, and he grabbed it. He was able to get it from the Time Authority people, and he's had it ever since. But I'm assuming they've reverse engineered it, so they know what's what.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their mission. They think they're going to go straight to the bridge and start doing their thing. No, they're not. They're just on there like all the other cadets. It's a kind of basic training ship away. In a way, it's a training ship, which is slightly disrespectful because it's the bloody Voyager. But, you know, that's okay. I don't mind so much. You've got Jankum for engineering, of course. Zero for medical with the doc. And then Rock in Cetacean Ops. Yes, Cetacean Ops is 110% an actual proper thing now with actual bloody whales called Gillian. I kid you not, we'll get to that. Wow, that just cracked me up. Gillian, that's a spoiler alert. Gray, you mentioned, I was a bit confused with Dal, what he was doing. Command training, yes. So they've already decided what they think their roles are going to be, but he's got a lot of books to read, doesn't he?
Yeah, because everybody started getting where they're gonna be, and he was the last one, and he's
Poor
kind
guy.
of Dal's kind of going like, so I guess I don't have to do all that stuff. This is great. They go like, man, no, you have a place to, you want to be captain, you're gonna have to start, learning command stuff. So he's like, oh, okay, and then they bring him into the room. And there's like a pile of books and crap just from the bottom to the ceiling. Like,
Yeah,
"All right,
books.
start on this.
Books, not data pads. Like, what is this?
Yeah,
Are
I
we
know,
in the
that was
24th
funny.
century or
I
what?
think there was data pads, I think, too, in the shop, but they did have some books
Yeah.
and stuff. And so it was kind of like, and he's like, oh, jeez. I don't want to study. Which just sounds like typical teenagers or whatever in school. Like, yeah, I don't want to study.
He keeps getting asked if he's read Temporal Mechanics 101, which does come back to bite him in the backside later on, which is pretty amusing.
Oh man, they were talking about that so much, and it was getting on his nerves. He said, "Well, yeah, because didn't you read Temporal Mechanics?" And he's like, "Oh my god,
You have
no,
to.
I haven't read it. Stop bothering me."
If you're anything to do with Voyager, you have to read up on Temporal Mechanics. They are kind of the kings now of time travel, if you don't include the movies, because of the amount of... They've done it a few times in the show, and Janeway, despite having a sore head talking about it all the time, has kind of got it nailed. I mean, she bloody travelled into the future to save the day, come on. We have a nice, sweet catch-up with Dal and Gwen, like we alluded to before, that I didn't know, and I don't think Gray initially knew as well, who is actually played by Ella Purnell, who was in Fallout. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this. You've seen Fallout, which is an excellent show, and she's on that, and she has a flawless American accent, in my opinion. I had no clue that she was English until Fallout came about. But there's something sinister going on. Well, say sinister, it's mysterious. Maybe that's a better word for it, Gray.
Yeah.
Janeway's potentially hiding something. Because the doc was caught slipping up, saying Shuttle Bay even 3, not 2. Then 2. The thing is, though, why would the Doctor, an advanced hologram stroke computer program, accidentally muck up? You wouldn't. You would be perfect, wouldn't you? Like, you wouldn't make mistakes like that.
Yeah, well, I guess because they want to program him to be more human-like.
True.
The Doctor.
True.
So he goofed a little bit.
And as Gray mentions here, mostly everyone believing there's just the 2, which, to be fair, well, why would you have even more than 2 shuttle bays on a ship is a bit nuts, to be honest with you. But there is a cloaked ship in this mysterious Shuttle Bay 3 called Infinity, which looks goddamn ugly. I'm just saying, Gray, it does not look nice at all, but, I guess it's a machine that's got a purpose to fulfill, and it doesn't need to look stunning. I kind of like their plan with this ship, though. It's been configured and made in a way that withstands the pressures of the wormhole, both physically and in a time travel kind of sense as well. It's got special shielding and whatnot, and special sensors and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to throw this thing.
Infinity, as they call the ship. I think it's kind of like a Navy research vessel would drop a mini sub.
I guess, yeah.
And pressures and all kinds of stuff. It's designed to do that. And it's kind of the equivalent of that. They're going to send that thing in there because it can withstand the pressures and all temporal garbage going on.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that's a good analogy, actually. Their plan is going to be to try and attempt to save Chakotay, because he's actually now. See, this is the bit I struggle to get my head around. If he's actually in the future or in the past. He's in the future, isn't it?
No, he's in the past.
In the past. 52 years in the past, that's it. 52 years in the past, and they have to try and get him there because they know he's hiding in there somewhere, and only this ship can withstand it, so they need to try and preserve the timeline and get a hold of him somehow. We always have like a B or a C side mission or a plot in these episodes, and we do catch up with Gwen as well, because last we heard she was away to her home planet of Solum to basically try and stop the war happening that's about to happen, and as we find out, it's not going to be as straightforward as you might think, and we actually see her on the planet for the first time. But I don't know if you remember this lady, Essentia Gray, from the end of the last season. Yeah. She's already there. I have no clue how she got there. but she's there and she's warning the locals not to trust Gwen because of what's potentially going to happen. How the hell did she get? Did she fall through the wormhole? I think she did, didn't she?
The problem was that Senshi was telling her people that, look, she's not even one of us because technically Gwen is from the future. These things haven't happened yet. Gwen was part of the future, so technically she hasn't even been born yet or anything. But this is where she's at, so she has to go and talk to her people to try to warn them of what's coming, and to possibly avoid, war, et cetera, et cetera. So she's having a hard enough time, Gwen, just convincing her people that she really is one of them.
Yeah.
Because they're all like, huh? What? They don't get it.
Who are you?
They also thought, I think that was interesting in the show is that it seemed or I guess Gwen thought, and so did the Starfleet guy bringing her on the shuttle, they all thought this was fairly routine, like it, they only brought a shuttle over there and kind of like, all right, you'll do a good job, don't worry about it, and drop her off in like a bus and then take off.
A bus.
And so it's supposed to be. So she's going into this nervous as hell, but she's figuring like, okay, I gotta buck up and become a ambassador type person and get this done. But little did she know that she's gonna end up with a bunch of problems when she landed.
Oh yeah,
which is cool.
Never going to be straightforward. It's not in Star Trek. I meant to say as well, the reason we know about the secret shuttle bay and the cloaked ship is because the kids do a little sneaky, and they're obsessed with Jeffrey tubes in this couple of episodes, and they're basically using them more than they're actually using the turbo lifts, to be fair. And they go sneaking through to actually see this ship, and they actually manage to break in and find this ship, to be fair. So that's why the kids know about this, to be fair, because they're very inquisitive and curious little creatures. But back on Solemn, it doesn't go down as Gray alludes to very well between the locals and her, because the sense is they're already there and basically saying very kind of nasty things about Gwen. So they try to capture her. She, of course, makes a break for it. It's not working out. The locals try to get hold of her. She tries to beam out because she's got a little shuttle bay in orbit with another pilot that was helping her out. But the locals destroy the local warships that actually destroy that little shuttlecraft, which I found brutal. This poor pilot just waiting, this little taxi driver waiting in orbit, and just gets blown away.
I was kind of wondering about that too, because that should bring, well, we'll find out later, I guess, but you would think that would bring some kind of repercussions, because they just killed a Starfleet, member.
Yeah.
The shuttle as well, so it's kind of like, what?
It's a very good point. Yeah, Gray, you should be getting some more backup there and some more ships coming in to actually, not necessarily retaliate because it's the Federation, but find out what the hell was actually happening. Yeah. She has a great idea, though, Gwen, to actually go and visit her younger father. So he's back. He's actually back from the season 1, but he's the younger, nicer version of him. And it was great to have that. I don't recall the actor's name, but I've seen him in a bunch of things, including The Fringe, and I love him. So I'm glad he's kind of back in a way. There's Voyager does arrive at this wormhole, which is on the border of the Alpha and Beta Quadrant. And I guess technically now there's 2 wormholes in the Beta Quadrant. What is it with the Beta Quadrant and wormholes? I mean, honestly.
I missed part of what the reason for that, so I was kind of like, huh?
Yeah, we know about the one from Deep Space Nine. It's in the Alpha Quadrant, leads to the Beta Quadrant. But that one was kind of created by gods, kind of. And then you've got this one here, which is, what did they call it? A time fisher or something like that. In the Temporal Mechanics 101 video. There's different ways to travel. I'm jumping ahead, but one of them is they call it a temporal fissure, which is basically a wormhole that is for time travel and not necessarily from A to B. So there's 2 things here. I get we nitpick sometimes. Apologies for that, but it's more I'm curious than anything else. Why is the doc on the bridge so much? Why is the doctor on the bridge so much? I'm not saying he doesn't have clearance to be there. Of course he does. He's the senior medical officer. But you're a doctor, man, not a bridge officer. That's me using a bad Bones impression right now. He's on the bridge so much, but then so was Bones. He was on the bridge too much for a doctor as well. So, you know.
I guess that's just part. They just figure you'll just go along with that one since it's been done so much in the past, especially TOS.
It has.
So,
it's normal.
So, and I guess it's also because he's part of this mission, so he's the only other one of the few that know what's going on. So he needs to be on the bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
To some extent.
It's only the senior bridge crew that actually know about this little secret as well.
Right.
And I guess it's more of a nitpick than anything else, so it doesn't make a bit of sense. The kids can get almost anywhere on that bloody ship just by going through the Jeffries tubes. I mean, are these things not security blocked as well, like security doors and stuff as well?
I think they would be.
Just go wherever the hell you want. They get about way too easy.
Yeah, I can understand the Jeffries tubes are going to be like, maybe to the people in engineering, they have a certain amount of ability to go through the Jeffries tubes. But at some point, it has to be locked on certain levels. So, them getting around really easy was a little bit, But I kind of like, one of the things that I think as we do these reviews, and we did this too when we did the first season, you got to suspend your belief a little bit because this is obviously written for teenagers. So we can enjoy it because there's a lot in it that we really like as well. But they have to have a
young teenagers
certain level that appeals to the teenager, which means that because they're writing more for the younger audience, they can cut corners a little bit.
True. Just do not ruin.
They didn't go through the whole explanation. They just said, okay, they're going to get anywhere on the ship.
Just don't ruin canon. Whatever you do not ruin canon, no matter what kind of show it is, because that would just piss me off. No, of course I can let it slide. I like to ask the question sometimes. As the kids are sneaking their way through the Jeffries tube, this was going to happen. Dal is caught as he falls through the ceiling crate above the bridge, and
the
calls
old falling through the ceiling thing.
He calls Janeway's bluff. Right, I'm just thinking. I don't recall a Jeffrey tube ever exiting above the bloody bridge before any bridge. A security hazard. I mean that there was no force field, nothing. That crate just fell away. I'm just like, okay, I know suspend belief, but it's asking a lot here. It's a bit awkward, It's like, okay. I've just fallen onto the bridge.
Fall on the typical cartoon thing. You fall through this or that, and like. I did like the way that after it happens when Dahl tries to call her on the bluff because he says certain things, like so you can let on that they know, and it's just like what, and so that starts the whole thing. Which is interesting. But go ahead. Yeah.
Can you imagine if he'd actually fallen on Janeway herself, like right in her lap, or one of the bridge officers? That would have been even funnier.
They save that for lower decks.
They do. That is lower decks shenanigans right away. So it's kind of reverse psychology because Dal does call Janeway's bluff. Instead of being awkward and stuff, he's like, well, yeah, you're hiding stuff, man. What's that all about? And she kind of confesses, whereas old Janeway, I think, would have actually just thrown their asses in kid jail, teenager jail already. She does allude that, she found isolinear chip. We're still using them. Isolinear chip from the Protostar after it exploded that led them to the Protostar's black box, and that's how they found out about Chakotay and where, or should I say when he is. And she basically asked the kids, like, keep the secret now. It's not many people know about this. Back to the planet Solom, and we don't know how things are going to go down between Gwen and her dad. She's trying to prove that, I am your daughter. And the heirloom that they share, that little metal device that kind of morphs into various shapes, she proves it by actually manipulating it in the exact same way as her father does so that they join together, hence proving that, they are genetically related. And it's a nice little scene because this is a different. This actor that plays Gwen's dad is a lot more mellow and chilled. He's not the bad guy yet, so it's a nice little scene between them. Now, on this Voyager A starship, there are a bunch of students basically getting ready to try and get into Starfleet, and some of these members are those of Nova Squadron, which we've heard of many times in Star Trek, and Lower Decks, and TNG. What's his name? Jack Crusher, the young Crusher. He was in. He was in there. It's basically the best of the best. And the kids can't keep their mouth shut properly because they mention a few things as they pass Nova Squadron, and they overhear them talking about Shuttle Bay 3. And they're like, you kids need to really shut your mouths, man. You're going to ruin it all. And then we'll get a little old-fashioned race on our hands. The kids have to get to Shuttle Bay 3 before the Nova Squadron get there. So it's back to the Jeffries tubes with them. What? See, if you had side-to-side transporter like in Discovery, man, you just
what's kind of funny too, but with the Jeffries tube is that she's going. The Nova Squadron Vulcan is going there by either walking and or taking the elevator. But they're running through the Jeffrey tubes, and I'm like, man, that's a longer journey going through the Jeffrey tubes. So you're gonna have to really run, and know where you're going too. But,
yes,
yeah.
I guess they have to, because if they go in the turbo lift, they'll probably get in the same bloody turbo lift as the kids. Nova Squadron. The thing that's slowing down, which I liked, the thing that the turbo lift would get there quicker than anyone. Full stop. But it's kind of funny that people keep getting in and out of the turbo lift, as you would normally in a lift or an elevator, wouldn't you? So, and you could tell them getting frustrated more and more, like, come on, I need to get there. And at one point, I don't recall her name, I'll find out for next time, the Vulcan officer, well, she's not officer yet, recruit, who does join them later on, just says, nope, you're not getting on this one, no more. She has enough of people getting onto this bloody turbo lift. So, and then there's a little bit of a struggle when they get to the shuttle bay between the kids and Nova Squadron. A little bit of a fight, nothing too sinister, and they accidentally launch the Infinity into the wormhole.
Yeah.
You said it was a bit goofy, Gray, but I mean, you're right, it did work. It was a bit of a fight, and the old, I've been pushed and my bum cheek has hit the launch go button, and we're off, aren't we? So these things
at least
happen.
they didn't make it sound like they jumped on the ship, immediately knew how to fly it, and decided to take it for a joyride.
It was autopilot, wasn't it?
That would have been bad. This way, at least it was an accident. So okay.
Yeah, it was an accident. It was autopilot. I get it. It happens. But only some of the crew are there though. This is it. We've got. Well, Gwen's already doing her thing. It's Dal, it's Zero, and it's Jankum that are on the ship. So a couple of the guys are left behind on Voyager. So that's where it leaves the two-parter. And then we go into like the episodes after, which we'll cover separately. We'll probably be doing these a couple of times a week to get them out, and we'll release episodes 3 to 5 review probably like halfway through the week or something. So, Gray, what did you as a two-parter together, what would you give these episodes in terms of a rating?
I both gave them a 9, and again, as we always repeat, I'm suspending the fact that it's teenage writing, because you have to, because that's what the series was designed for. So taking that out of the equation, I gave them both 9 because I was just having a lot of fun getting back into the Prodigy storyline and stuff like that. The writing is very good, the acting is very good, and even the action, socializing, and character development all seem really good. I mean, good, natural. Nothing, strange or different or not like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I mean, it's like, this is real good animation with some solid stories. Season 1 surprised both you and I and how good it was. It seems like season 2 is. I think they've upped their game even some in season 2. So I'm actually looking forward to each episode, as opposed to like being like only mildly interested. I'm actually really interested. I'm into the show. I want to know. I want to know the next one. I want to watch the next one.
That's what
And that's a big deal.
that's what surprises me between Prodigy and Lower Decks. Lower Decks didn't surprise me. I kind of thought it was going to be the way it was, the way they alluded to, and that is an animated show for adults, basically, which is, it's bloody hilarious, it's unique, it's a travesty that it's going to end after season 5, it really is. And then Prodigy is the one that surprised us, because we thought Nickelodeon are involved, this is going to be teeny popper stuff, and it's going to be no good. And while there's elements to that, because Gray says, you've got to bear that in mind, it is written for kids. It is not the goofy stuff of Lower Decks. Yes, there's goofiness in it because it's kid stuff, but it's not immature for the sake of being immature or for the sake of being goofy. It's actually some more serious Trek, but in animated form. So yeah,
Lower Decks is more like the Simpsons of Star Trek.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
that's the way the angle, or Family Dad. That's the way the angle that they go at it. But this show, Prodigy, is really more of a serious kind of Star Trek show.
More so.
But without getting too deep, because it would lose the young audience, which they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's not easy either, to sit there and straddle the line so that you can appeal to older fans like us, and then still, hopefully that the young kids like it too. And yet they do it on this show, so it's really excellent.
Yeah, it's for that reason I like Gray, have to also both give them an average of 9 out of 10 for both. Very, very hard to hit the 10. I think we've only ever done it once or something. In Lower Decks, funnily enough. I basically like this unofficial Voyager sequel. There is a nice homage to Voyager throughout this two-parter. And the Voyager A is a stunning looking starship. I really hope that Fan Home, who are now doing the models for the Star Trek ships going forward later this year, I think they start in the autumn onwards, and I'll be signing up because there's some nice ships in there. The Stargazer, the Titan A, no bloody Enterprise G, none of that nonsense. These ships are coming along. I hope that they put the Voyager A in there. There's plenty of materials. It looks lovely. I need to get the original Voyager, actually. That's a shout. But yeah, so really enjoyed that. Let's say we'll be back for episode 3 to 5, probably about halfway through the week. But until then, Gray, do your thing, say goodbye to the people.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Cheerio, bye-bye.